Wait, it's already summer? Hi everyone, Niku here. Spring went by in a flash. The season started super strong with plenty of double drops and premieres that really packed a punch. Everyone was also in high spirits going into the season due to the release of the first episode of Steel Ball Run, before finding out that Netflix had decided to follow it up with absolutely nothing. No news, no tweets, nothing for 2 whole weeks. I honestly did not think they had it in them to screw things up even more than they did with Stone Ocean. But I guess in 2026, the powers that be have all decided to make the most bizarre decisions. To save you guys from nearly an hour-long video and myself from editing hell, I decided to split off my thoughts on spring 2026 into another video. So if you guys are curious about certain shows from this past season or what shows I ended up dropping, feel free to check that video out. I'll also be skipping faster through the shows I'm for sure not watching, such as sequels of shows I never watched, genres I have no interest in, such as typical isekais or power fantasy light novel adaptations, cute girls doing cute things, etc. First off is Super no Ura de Yani Su Futari, Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. This has been very popular ever since its release as a manga, and I've actually read some of the early chapters since it was very highly recommended. However, as I've mentioned in the spring 2026 anime video, I get bored easily of stories that center on purely romance and just flirting. And I think this is what happened when I read the manga. I do enjoy that this is between an adult cast, but there wasn't much in the manga plot-wise or character-wise to keep me really going back to it. Plus, I hate smoking with a passion, so I can't really relate to the characters that much. I am mildly interested to see what the anime adaptation's like, so let's check out the PV. Wait, what is Love Status Quo? Love Status Quo anime, a thing within the romance genre. These stories feature a couple that experiences frequent cute, blushy, and or fluffy moments in a daily life setting, designed to make the reader go, aww, or experience butterflies in every chapter. Since the emphasis is on teasing a reaction from the audience, cute interactions between the couple are prioritized over other story events that would otherwise deepen or develop the romantic relationship. Thus, the story starts with the characters already in a state of increased awareness of each other, and stays there in status quo for the majority of the story. Perfect! I now have a term that accurately describes the genre I usually can't get into. Now, let's check out the PV. Whoa, there are a lot of trailers. I have no idea why the English sub version is not available in my country, but I'll check out the teaser, I guess.
今日は何も都合よくいかん日だな。
こっちこっち。ここならタバコ吸えますせ。佐々木さん。スーパーの裏でヤニ数2人。
Next up is one of the shows I'm most looking forward to this season, and you can see it's already on my list, and that's the final part of Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc, Kashin Tan. I love the synopsis, by the way. It's just very matter of fact. Not much needs to be said. Pretty sure I'm not the only one looking forward to this. I actually watched the 1000-Year Blood arc only just end of last year when I was bored. As someone who thinks Bleach peaked in the Hueco Mundo arc, I didn't really care enough to find out how Kubo intends to improve the ending of his story. But when I put the first episode on and heard that familiar guitar riff, the nostalgic feeling of hype came back to me. It was such a treat to watch one of my childhood staples animated so immaculately and in true Kubo style. Stylish AF. So plot be damned, I'm very excited for more bankais and epic fights. Plus, there's a certain moment that I've been waiting forever to see animated. Let's check out the PV.
あんたは俺が切る。不遜だなイチゴ。それは世界を切ると同義だぞ。力のすべてを吐き出し尽くして死ね。イチゴ。
光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。ねえ、夜市さん。
一発と思うだ。見物の初段も私の役目だ。やってみろ。してくれるな、イチゴ。
絶望がなんだってよく知ってるぜ。今まで何度も乗り越えてきたんだからな。BANKAI!
Of course, he ends on that note. And also love the remixes they made of like old tracks and how they incorporate them. Also so excited to see my girl, Yoriichi. She's one of my favorite characters. Now, next is another sequel, and that is Seihantai na Kimi to Boku. You and I are opposites. I finished the first season after it had completely aired, mostly because at first it looked like a typical shoujo rom-com that I wouldn't be interested in. However, it had high reviews, and a lot of people recommended it, so I decided to check it out anyways, and I'm so glad I did. The characters were all charming in their own way, and what I really appreciated of this show was that instead of focusing on the will they, won't they situations, it actually focuses more on how these different personalities interact and sometimes struggle to understand each other. And this sense of realism really kept the series grounded somewhat. I also think the fact that the constant switching between different groups of characters really helped keep things from getting too stale. And the excellent production levels were the cherry on top. Can't say I felt the same about the author's other series, Kori no Joheki, The Ramparts of Ice, that aired last season. By the way, it's very rare to get two different series adapted back to back, so I have to give Agasawa Kocha her flowers. I actually didn't know when I was covering the previews of last season that You and I Are Opposites was actually shonen, whereas Kori was serialized in a shoujo magazine. And you could actually kind of tell by the way these stories are told in the tone and the way they're presented. And that's personally very interesting to me, since I think it just further solidifies the fact that shonen titles continue to appeal to me more than shoujos, despite not being in the targeted demographic. But still, it's very interesting how both of these came from the same author. Yeah, let's take a look at the PV. Ooh, there's an English subversion.
7組麦わらの一味みたいな宴してんじゃん。怖っ。いいよ、続きみたいな恋愛できるかな。
付き合って知っていって受け入れられて受け入れて最初よりもちゃんと今の方が好きだ。
イチャつくな。
どうした？
Ghost in the Shell. This anime was announced as part of the 30th anniversary celebration, so I knew it was coming, but I didn't know that Science Saru was animating it. The director's also the one behind some of the key animation in Devilman Crybaby and Inuo, so I'm very intrigued to see how they'll bring that Science Saru flair to the animation. Ghost in the Shell is one of these classics that came out when I was probably not even born yet, or maybe I was still too young. But even when I saw it airing on TV later, I think the serious and depressing vibes of the art style back then didn't really draw me in. So funny that I'm finally going to be watching this in 2026. In the year 2029, Nihama City has become a technology advanced metropolis. Ooh, 2029. That's in a few years' time. Due to great improvements in cybernetics, its citizens are able to replace their limbs with robotic parts. The world is now more interconnected than ever before, and the city's Public Security Section 9 is responsible for combating corruption, terrorism, and other dangerous threats following the shift towards globalization. The strong-willed Major Motoko Kusanagi of Section 9 spearheads a case involving a mysterious hacker known only as the Puppet Master, who leaves a trail of victims stripped of their memories. I think the only thing I'm worried about is the ick factor that can occur with shows that feature these female androids. They'll always be sexualized in some form or another, so it really comes down to whether or not it's done in a balanced manner. With Science Saru at the helm, I'm definitely more than a little worried about this aspect. But let's watch the PV. soundtrack is pretty intriguing already. Also, the art style is very retro. I wonder if they're leaning closer to the original manga. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely adding this into my watch list. Maybe it might get me to watch some of the older ones. Next up is this show, Niju Seki Eureka Eureka. That was a mouthful. This show I've been kind of curious about simply because I'm a sucker for historical settings. But with KyoAni, their choice of light novels have always been either a hit or miss for me. I think it's simply a matter of personal taste, since I'm not a big fan of some of their tendency to lean into moe pandering. And when the source material gives them the opportunity, they will take it. But if it's on a lighter side and the story's good, I'm fine with it. And with KyoAni, one thing's for sure is that you'll be getting gorgeous animation. So let's see what this show is about. A boy hardened by the loss of his brother grows distrustful after their shared dream of an age of electricity is cut short. A deeply devout girl hides her dreams and regrets for her deceased mother deep within her heart. When the two cross paths, they set about exploring the secrets of the 20th century electrical catalog. That sounds very interesting. Let's check out the PV. Here's an English sub one.
いろんな機械がいっぱいだ。
蒸気の発明ばっかりだけどな。つけるぞ。キヨチ、俺たちで電気の時代を作るぞ。
セロク兄ちゃん。
あれから4年、電気の時代は来ていない。騙しやがって。見つけたよ、my wife。
目録はどこだ。
なぜ目録を欲しがってるんだ。
稲子お願い、これを坂本さんに渡して。
そう思って僕から逃げるなんて。
陽介様、
戦争から帰ったら一緒に目録を全部実現しようぜ。
喜八さんが作るんです。ここに書かれているもの。
電気の時代。目録の本当の秘密を知っているのは僕と君だけのはずだ。
Boo, Netflix. Anyway, that animation looked wonderful and the music sounded great. I'll be adding this to my watch list. Now, next up, along with Bleach, this is the other show that I'm most looking forward to this season, and that is Nigeijozu no Wakagimi, second season. I've been waiting for the second season for a while. When I watched the first season, I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did because I never really got into Assassination Classroom, but I ended up really enjoying the characters and was super invested in the plot. Knowing the bare bones history though, I'm especially curious how they plan to end the series. I have kept myself spoiler free so far from the manga. Cloverworks also went far and beyond with the animation, so I'm pretty hyped to see more of that in the second season. Also, with the manga now completed, I am very curious if we're getting 1 core or 2 cores. I don't want to spoil myself too much for this show, so I'll just watch a little bit.
鎌倉の民よ、諸君の平和は足利と久し満州が必ず守る。
新たな統治者と鎌倉はこの若武者たちの噂で持ちきりでした。
道は作る。とにかく最短距離でつけるんだ。
鎌倉に帰りたいな。
That was mostly recycled footage from the first season, so honestly, I'm not sure what to expect, but hopefully the animation levels are still the same. Okay, next up, Black Torch. I've never heard of this shonen before, but let's see. 17-year-old Jiro Azuma lives a quiet life with his grandfather, utilizing his supernatural ability to speak with animals to befriend and protect them. Interesting. Both Jiro and his grandfather are descendants of a long-standing shinobi clan. Jiro's life is thrown into upheaval after rescuing a seemingly normal black cat, Rago, only to discover that the cat is actually a Mononoke, a demonic spirit that has long been at war with mankind. When a hostile Mononoke comes looking for Rago, Jiro uses his shinobi training to jump to the cat's defense, but immediately suffers a mortal wound. Okay, I can kind of see where this show might be going. It's by 100 Studio. That's a studio I've never heard about. I have watched Chuzenji Sensei because I really like the manga, but the animation honestly was just a bit below average. It's just serviceable. That's a little worrisome, but let's check out the PV. Let's see. Teaser 1. Very cool character designs. Looks very stylish. The character designs actually kind of remind me of World Trigger a little bit, but yeah, looks pretty cool. I might give it a try. What's this? Yani Neko. Yani is a cat girl with a seriously bad smoking habit. Every time she tries to quit, she becomes weak to the cravings and gives in almost instantly. Will she ever get her life together, or is she doomed to live as a chain-smoking slob forever? Honestly, still can't really tell what kind of show this is, but the art style feels a little nostalgic to me. Let's take a look at the PV to see if this is up my alley. Not the type of music I was expecting. I have a feeling this is leaning slice of life, but with catgirls and smoking. Probably not for me. Next up is Tenmaku no Jadugar. Here we have another Science Saru entry. A witch in Mongolia. The time, the 13th century. The place, Yeke Mongol Ulus? The greatest empire the world has ever known. The woman, Fatima, hailing from Persia, where medical technique and scientific knowledge have been perfected beyond all precedent. So, unusual setting, check. Historical theme, check. And with Sansaro, probably good animation quality, check. I'm already very intrigued. And apparently, the manga has been nominated twice for the Manga Taisho Awards, so the source material seems to be at least critically acclaimed. Could this be Apothecary Diaries in a Mongolian setting? Let's see the PV. Wow, there's a lot. Art style's pretty cute.
先日入った娘でしたらです。
君は今何が起こっているかもこの先どんなことが起きるかもまるでわからないでいる。でも勉強して賢くなればどんなに困ったことが起きたって何をすれば一番いいのかわかるんだ。
それが勉強。
真理を探して。
エンデルヒンブクチェルスナルテルヒブク地上を照らすように我が父チンギスカンのものなのだ。
Okay, next. This looks interesting. World is dancing. One does not need to dance to live. In 1374, during the turbulent age when the northern and southern courts were locked in conflict, interesting we're getting not one, but two anime that takes place during the Nanbokcho period. Oniyasha drifts through his days with a hazy lodged in his heart. Why do people dance? It's based on a seinen manga about Oniyasha, an important historical figure that helped shape modern No performances, which is the type of theater where they tell a tale using masks, dancing, and music. My experience with No is only from Inu O, which gave the performances a modern spin, so I'm curious how it'll actually be portrayed in this adaptation. And this is by Studio Civic? Cygames Pictures. Oh, I'm so excited for Kagura Bachi. Based on how well they adapted The Summer Hikaru Died, I have pretty high expectations for the animation of this show. Let's watch the PV.
舞っても舞わなくても人は死ぬのだ。舞ったって世界は変わらぬではないか。怒られたのだ。
メソメソしやがって。ほらカジラが舞うと世界が変わるじゃないですか。
世界が変わる。
己の形は探すものではない、作っていくものだ。
みんな私の形を見つけるのだ。
Looks pretty good. Also adding this to my plan to watch list. Sayonara Dara. Long ago, there was a mermaid princess named Dara. She was raised to love her father, king of sea and her sisters. One day, Dara fell in love with a human prince who lived on land. It was a forbidden love when that was not allowed to world mermaids. Still, Dara drank to the surface, but the ocean gave her a wish grace. She became human. Isn't this just The Little Mermaid, but anime? 200 years later, Lara awakens once more in Lake Biwa to finally search for her true love. And this is an original anime. I'm always keen to check out original anime. Plus, Kinema Citrus is known for their gorgeous animation, such as My Happy Marriage, Made in Abyss. So let's take a look at the PV. Just watch the teaser. What? Wait, let's watch one more, cause that was a little bit...
この薬を飲めばお前は人間になれる。
私死んだんじゃなかったっけ。何がプリンセスや。本当の愛が。
俺ルカ。
Kind of not up my alley, but at the same time, it could be more about her being literally a fish out of water. So I might give this 1 or 2 episodes and see how I actually feel about it. Wait, Red River anime adaptation in 2026? This seems to be a trend since the adaptation of Rose of Versailles in 2025 of adapting all these older shoujo series. Now, there's also another one coming out later this year called Kanata Kara from Far Away, which I've never heard of before. But I have heard of this one and Rose of Versailles, but I've personally never read them or watched them. While these older series definitely are more varied and eclectic compared to a lot of modern shoujo, I'm kind of curious how many people actually will watch them and whether younger generations will actually enjoy them. I didn't watch the modern adaptation of Rose of Versailles either. If anyone's watched it, can you comment down below and let me know if it's good? And there's also Hana Kimi, which second season's also airing this season, by the way, because it is from my generation. And if you saw my previous anime preview video, you'll know I was pretty dissatisfied with the changes they made. Didn't like that they modernized it, and not a fan how generic the character designs became. Well, let's check out the PV. Looks like...
逃げちゃいけない。私には諦めるなんてできない。
私を信じられるなら一緒に来い。ユーリ。
この物語はアナトリアの大地を熱い風とともに駆け抜けた一人の少女の物語。
Actually, compared to Hana Kimi, I think they did retain some of the older shoujo looks of the character designs. It looks more adventure-based, so I might give it a few episodes. Next, let's see, what else is there? This one's been kind of on my radar. I won't deny the image of good-looking men clad in military uniform was what caught my attention. But when I found out this manga is by Shibashi Hiroshi, the mangaka of Nurari Hyun no Mago, this immediately became a must-watch for me. Nurari Hyun no Mago is one of the most underrated shonen series and had a pretty good, albeit incomplete, anime adaptation. If you guys enjoy stories involving yokai in a more battle shonen setting, I think you'll enjoy that series. But anyway, I actually don't know what Iwamoto Senpai is about. Let's take a look at the PV.
我が学園は軍事利用可能な超常現象を収集研究する機関なり。
やはり噂は本当だった。
人間の仕業ですよ。それをまじないとする術師というのもいる。そいつは軍事利用には向かないかもね。相手はもしかしたら人間だからこそ僕らは同志を探すために出るのでしょう。それがこの岩本の使命だと思っている。受け取れ。我が学園の推薦状だ。
Yeah, it's going on my list, but I feel like this is definitely something I would enjoy. It's got supernatural, it's got military, it's got good-looking men. Next. I think that might be it for all the shows. ONAs. Okay, Link Click 3. Oh wow, I didn't know this was coming out this season. I'm hoping we'll get more answers. So, one more thing to look forward to. And also the My Hero Academia I Am a Hero 2 ONA. I was surprised when this was announced because I was completely for sure thinking that more was the last episode of My Hero we're getting. Very looking forward to the song they'll have Aries sing. I'm very happy that we're getting more My Hero. I would still very much like a movie where they all work on a case or fight a villain as adult heroes. Please, Horikoshi. Please, Studio Bones. Ooh, what's this? The Ribbon Hero. The art looks pretty interesting. Sapphire is a princess of a kingdom that no longer exists. Having lost everything in her homeland of Silverland to the calamity known as Nergal, she wanders in despair until she finally arrives in Goldland. Though burdened by her past, she begins to find a glimmer of hope as she encounters the kindness of the people there. But as if to sneer at her peaceful new life, the calamity Nergal appears once more. Wait, is this? Oh wow, it is an adaptation of Osamu Tezuka's work. I'm not familiar with this manga. I've just seen it before, like the character, and I know that she cross-dresses. Very interesting. Studio Outline is also a studio I've never heard of. Yeah, I'm not familiar with their work. Probably a new studio. Let's see the PV.
嫌だ。このまま終わるなんて何にも取り戻せてない。 私ね、自分のやりたいこと見つかった気がする。困ってるみんなのために働きたいんだ。リボンの騎士参上。
Actually looks very cool. The animation looks really good. So let's put it on the list. Cyborg 009 Nemesis. Wait, I feel like I've heard of this one before too. Is this Osamu Tezuka's work as well? My bad, never mind. It's Ishinomori Shotaro Sensei. Here's another studio I'm not familiar with. Check out the PV, I guess.
俺は009グラビトンだ。正義の裁きを俺が下す。
加速装置
Don't know if I'll enjoy it, but I'll give it a watch. Animation doesn't look half bad. They're really digging through the archives, eh? So many reboots and remakes. And I think that's all. Oh, banana. Okay, movies. Madoka, definitely watching this when it comes out. Ooh, Sekiro, No Defeat. I've never played the game, and probably never will since I don't really play Souls-like games. They're just too intense for me. Might watch this just to see what the story's about, as I do like stories with samurai. Studio... Oh, cool. They're the studio that made Champignon no Majo. I didn't watch that series, but heard it's pretty good. So yeah, I might give this a watch when it comes out. And that's about it. I thought there weren't as many upcoming shows I'd be interested in as there were in the last 2 seasons, but I guess I was wrong. So my must-watches this season are Bleach, You and I Are Polar Opposites, Ghost in a Shell, Nigejouzu no Wakagimi, 2nd season, Tenmaku no Jadugar, World is Dancing, and Iwamoto Senpai no Suisen. And for the movies and ONAs, it's for sure I'll be watching Link Click, My Hero Academia, Madoka, and Sekiro. For the maybes, the shows I'm not 100% sure about are 20th Century Electricity Catalog, Black Torch, Sayonara Lara, Anatolia's Story, and the ONA movies I'll be checking out maybe are The Ribbon Hero and Cyborg 009 Nemesis. That is a lot more than I was expecting, but still very excited about this upcoming season. I love that we're getting so many historical fiction or stories taking in historical contexts, because I just eat that stuff up. What shows are you guys most excited for this summer? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.